Okay, good evening, everyone. Welcome to Human Services Committee meeting, chaired by myself, committee members Melville, Councilman Mitsoulas is not here. Councilor Charest, would you sit in for Councilor Mitsoulas? Thank you. Members Councilor O'Neill and Councilor Gould are in attendance. On the agenda this evening, we have invited the Veterans Agent Steve Patton to come and speak and give us an update on some of the great things that his office has been doing, and I know that a couple of councilors have some questions in particular. So with that, Mr. Patton, could you come on up to the podium, and I know that Councilor Melville has some questions for you.
Good evening, everyone. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Councilor Manny Martin. Steve, can you talk a little bit about any kind of needs that you may have with regards to? I know some space. You got. Now that you guys are really active, you're doing a lot. Is that something that you would see that you might need some relief on, or maybe some outside the box thinking to assist you on?
Thank you for asking that question. So yes, space. Currently, Lisa Levitt, my administrative assistant, and I are sharing a small space downstairs in the basement here at City Hall. We are joined by Ken Hopkins, who volunteers in our office. He's usually gets in around 1 o'clock every day, and he's there about 5 days a week. On Fridays, he actually is there first thing in the morning. Additionally, we have the commander of the local chapter of the Disabled American Veterans, Don White, who is actually quite adept at doing VA disability compensation claims. His knowledge is extensive, as is his experience. Don has stated to me that he would like to work for free for the city and volunteer like Ken to a similar amount of hours. It would make a huge impact to the veterans in the city. However, there's absolutely no way we could fit a fourth person in that room. We really can't even. Ken's desk actually folds out of the wall. He has a contraption he made himself. So there's an opportunity for the city to really impact the playing field, and we're just not able to do it with the current space. I would note that the Council on Aging is really the ideal location, because we have a very good partnership with many of the social workers there, and many of our veterans and their surviving spouses frequent that facility on a daily basis. Therefore, if we were in that location, the seniors would not have to travel to locations, especially in inclement weather. And it would be easier for us to work on with the social workers face to face rather than us emailing and calling. We could simply work across the hall. So I know there is some plans at a future date to make some changes to that structure. But if there's any way we could find some type of space prior to that, would be excellent. If not, we're happy to hold tight.
Thank you. You intimated, I believe, that have you had conversations with Council on Aging, and they're going to do reconstruction, or is there open space there that you've seen or asked about?
Thank you for asking that. Yes, we spoke to director over there approximately, I'd say about 18 months ago at least, when we caught wind that there was some construction over there, and she actually approached us. And there was some discussion about if it's possible, we would be in the old section right off of the street where the gym is now, and they were thinking maybe they could divide that up into like 3 areas and give us that space. So one of the issues with the space, if I may too, is we've had a number of people raise concerns for themselves just about the topics that come up in the course of of working with our department. So the financial assistance for veterans, some people find themselves suddenly employed or whatnot, and they don't feel comfortable talking in the space we're in now because there are thin walls and the other departments are right there. Also, when it comes to the disability claims, several types of disabilities raise a comfortableness issue for many of the veterans. So there have been a number of them have said, you know, you really need a space where confidential means confidential. And the Veterans Law, Chapter 115, has a specific section in it that our conversations have to be confidential. So it's sometimes hard to comply with it, but, you know, overall we manage okay.
Thank you. And I had a couple questions. Do councilors have questions for Mr. Patton? Steve, I know briefly you and I had spoken and you gave an update on the tremendous increase in work that you've been accomplishing over the last few years. If you can briefly kind of share that with us, just because it is quite remarkable.
Thank you. Yes, so beginning, when I first came in, the fiscal year 2016, Chapter 115 payments were $197,889. That's actually paid out by the city, and then on a quarterly basis, it gets reimbursed 75% by the state. From that time to fiscal year 2017, it had increased $13,271 to a total of $211,160. To fiscal year 2018, it increased another $11,000 and change to $222,576, which is the number it will end at the end of this month. I attribute that by and large to my assistant, Lisa Levitt. I can't say, you know, I really, I'm glad I have the opportunity to be here tonight to tell you all about her. You know, prior to my coming on, I don't think she had a large enough role for her skill set. And she is the most inviting person, and it's really about going above and beyond. Some people will do their job, and that's what they do. She goes the extra mile between, and I'll tell you, she takes care of these veterans like you wouldn't believe. She sets up Lifeline for them. One person has only the use of one hand. She cuts his fingernails on both of his hands because he can't do it himself. This person's outstanding, and her can-do and friendly attitude. If you ask many of the veterans, she takes care of about 36 to 38 families. That fluctuates under that Chapter 115 program. You ask them who's running that department, and they're going to tell you she does. So they really look at her as the face of this department. So I attribute the growth, and we do think it's leveling out now. We don't think we're going to see these increases every year. But word does get out, and when you have people in the department that really care, there are veterans who are trying to move into Peabody because they know we have a squared away office and there's friendly people. So I attribute the entire success of that Chapter 115 program to Lisa. She runs it single-handedly, and really what we've come up with is an office structure I think should be replicated everywhere in the state. Because she handles the complete Chapter 115 program, that frees me up to do disability claims for the veterans. So had Lisa been purely in an administrative role, which she has outgrown that, she is not really in an administrative role, as her job description would say, by her doing that, I'm not doing half a good job on, half a job on 115 and half a job on the disability claims. Her taking that over has freed me up to now focus on disability claims, and I'd say that's about 98% of my work is in disability claims. And how does that impact the city? That impacts the city in a number of ways. The extra money that comes into a veteran's home because of the disability pay, or for a surviving spouse, because of if the veteran dies because of a service-connected disability, the spouse will receive $1,200 a month. So we had a woman in West Peabody who was going to lose her house because she couldn't pay the mortgage. Now she gets to stay in her house. in the way, really where the rubber meets the road, I'm giving a fair estimate when I say that the disability claims practice, we're filing between 250 and 350 claims a year, totaling a net payout to veterans over the course of a year of about, give or take, around $1 million a year. So, for example, a 100% service-connected veteran in Massachusetts is receiving approximately $36,000 a year tax-free. We had last year at least 10 of those. And then when you look at the other 200-plus claims for 90%, 80%, 70% disability, the amount of money you get coincides with your percentage. And when you add it all up, it's close to $1 million. So that's $1 million that's going into veterans' pockets. They're helping them pay their mortgages, helping them pay for their health care. And they're also spending it in the community. They're going out to local businesses. And I think that money does trickle down and find its way back into the businesses of Peabody and the North Shore. So that's the majority of the things that Lisa and I do. But also the volunteer veteran driving program has really taken off. It's just absolutely outstanding. We have one vehicle now that Honda North donated. We're in discussions for another vehicle. I know the mayor is also in discussions about seeking another donated vehicle. And the reason I say that is the one little snafu is that the veterans, because there's such a demand for it now, when they don't have our van to drive, the veterans are driving their own personally owned vehicles. And what happens is the whole deal in the program was that they get $500 off of their property taxes if they drive a total of 32 hours is the way we worked it out based on the minimum wage. We have 7 veterans who have completed that. However, we've had the veterans that have to drive their own vehicle have paid for their own gas. They're not actually getting the full discount because they're paying for their own gas because they're in their private vehicles. They're not going to gas their private vehicles up at the city pumps. So we do think if we had another vehicle, it would really be excellent. But the program, people love the program. They're using it at even Brooksby Village residents are using it. I saw one elderly veteran's income breakdown for the medical expenses tonight, just before the meeting. In one trip to Boston, a round trip that cost a non-Brooksby resident who uses our vehicle $0 is costing a Brooksby resident $111. So they're paying like taxi cab fares that they're putting out there. So that program's doing really well. And finally, the last thing I could tell you is before this year, really, the Massachusetts law says you have to flag all veterans' graves before Memorial Day. So what has been happening in the past is the Peabody Veterans Council has been flagging Cedar Grove and Oak Grove. And the Jewish war veterans have been flagging 9 cemeteries. The issue is there were, including private cemeteries, there's 31 with veterans' graves in the city. Massachusetts law says that you cannot, it doesn't say whether it's public versus private. It says if they're a veteran, they're a grave, they're in your city, you shall flag it. So I called the state and had a discussion with them, and they agreed. And so they're paying, so our flags this year went from just over 2,000 to just over 6,000. And they agreed to pay 75%. So they used to only pay 75% of 2,000 flags. Now they're paying 75% of just over 6,000 flags. And with a partnership with the Peabody Historical Commission, they're doing 16 of the smaller cemeteries where there's 1 or 2 or 3 plots in there. And the Peabody Veterans Council is now taking on St. Mary's in Salem and Harmony Grove down the street as well. So now we're in compliance with the law, and we're covering all 31 cemeteries. So That's about it.
Thank you very much. I think, yes, Counselor Charest, and then Counselor Gould, and then we have 2 more meetings before our
I'll be very,
finance.
very
Thank you.
quick. I just wanted to, Captain, the work you do and what Lisa does. My constituents have reached out to me numerous times and just wanted to tell me what a pleasure it was to work with your department and the respect that they get. And these are, in some cases, spouses of deceased veterans that you speak about. And they were just overjoyed about the amount of respect, certainly that Lisa has given. And the stories you said here tonight just echoes that and really makes us feel good that we are doing the right thing for our veterans. So again, all the work you do is so respected. And again, I thank you. That's all I really wanted to say was thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Charest. Counselor Gould?
Thank you, Madam Chairman, Chairwoman. Captain Patton, I just want to say thank you for everything. You've energized that office and you've kicked it to a whole new level. And I'm sure my colleagues feel the same way. And anything we can do to help you, please count on us. Thank you.
Thank you, Counselor Gould. And I couldn't agree with you more about Lee Levitt. I've known her since I was 5 years old, and I was actually in her wedding. 13 bridesmaids. It was huge. And she's a wonderful person. She's very sharp, and she cares about people. So I think it was quite fitting that you gave her the accolades that you did, because your office is doing phenomenal work, and that's why we wanted you to come up here and share with us what you are doing so that we can give you the tools that you need to continue to do such a good job and serve our veterans. So I think what we'll have to do is try to brainstorm with my colleagues about what to do about that tax break that's getting eaten up in gas money for the veterans that are doing that great volunteer work. So we will work on that, and I think a motion might be in order, Councilor Melville, to approach the Mayor and the Council of Aging to expedite searching for office space down at the Council of Aging.
So moved.
The motion by Councilor Melville. Any comments on the motion? All in favor? Any opposed? It's a vote. And again, thank you very much. Keep up the good work.
Could I just say one thing too, Madam Chairwoman? When I came on to the job 3 years ago, you pulled me aside and you said, look, if they need you, if they can't make it to your office, I want you to go to their home, right? And I got to tell you, I did that. And one of those people was getting nothing, 0 benefits, and he was Agent Orange, Parkinson's disease, confined to a wheelchair. Because of what you told me, I went to his house, and I may not have if I didn't have that conversation, and you were clear on what you thought I should do. And he's 100% service connected now today, so just want to let you know.
Thank you for saying that, because, you know, we need to go to them. We can't sit in City Hall and wait for people to come to us. These are folks especially that we need to reach out to and find. So, good work. Take a motion to adjourn. Thank you. All in favor, any opposed? It's a vote.